You did include it. I bring it up because you included it in your pre-show notes. So,
Yeah.
But if it's off limits, I would like to. You said you wanted to discuss age gaps in dating and what is appropriate. So why don't we start with you, and I will open it up to the whole panel. Go ahead.
That's a good question. I think if the age gap is relatively large, and I know this can be subjective, it does definitely rub me the wrong way, whether it's the man that's younger or the woman that's way younger. Like, in both ways, it just feels a little bit predatory.
Predatory. Okay. I think before we weigh in on that, I do want to get the answer from the rest of the panel. So you think it's a bit predatory? Do you want to add to your answer at all, or?
No, I'll let everyone else.
Okay.
speak.
So you feel it's weird. You think it's predatory. Okay.
It gives me icky vibes.
It gives you icky vibes. Okay.
How much of an age gap are we talking?
I mean, that's up to each individual, but
I don't know.
well, you're currently in an age gap relationship, isn't that correct?
Something like that.
What do you mean? Well, you said you're 22, he's 32, right?
Around there. Yes.
So what do you mean around there? He's older than 32.
Like 10, 15 years older than me.
How old is he? Just say how old he is.
I don't know. People are watching. I don't put people on blast. But like.
What's the age gap?
Like 14 years.
Okay, so you're 22, so he's 36.
About there, yeah.
Maybe it's more. Okay, well, just here.
Yeah.
You're friends with her. Do you object to her relationship? Do you think her relationship is predatory?
Well, so I've met.
Wait, did you just say a little bit?
What? No. I mean, like.
I might have heard wrong, but it sounded like you whispered a little bit.
No. I was saying, like, no, it's not predatory.
Oh, okay.
No.
So you're friends with her. She's dating this guy. Do you think that that's a predatory relationship?
Well, having actually met this person and like gotten to know him, no. So of course it does depend on.
So it's okay
each
for your
person.
friends to date, have age gaps.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
For me, I also said it was subjective how big of the age gap it is.
Well,
for me,
it's a.
Well, what
she's
if it was
22?
4 years older than he is now? Then would it be too much?
Well,
But
okay.
I don't
for
think
me,
that's a large age gap, though.
What's large?
for
Yeah,
me,
but
a
I'm
large
saying,
age
what's
gap
large?
is if they're within 5 years of like one of my parents' ages. So like my youngest parent is my stepdad. He's 40. So yeah, I guess 35 would be at the like pushing it. Like that's
Well,
a pretty big age gap.
So
for
me personally, I don't object to as long as they're both adults. But I would say that most people who do object to age gaps would probably find her age gap relationship objectionable. She's 22. Like, I don't find it objectionable, but I think a lot of people would, who object to age gaps would. She's 22 dating a 36-year-old, 14-year age gap.
Yeah, in this case, you just said it's okay because.
I
I
didn't say it was
prefer
okay.
older guys anyway.
I
you know?
was still a little bit concerned, like wanting to know what his intentions were. So it does depend on the person at the end of the day. Like you can make these.
So then they're not
generalizations.
predatory then.
No.
I mean,
They can't be predatory if they're not predatory, right? They're only predatory based on the individuals, right?
yeah.
So that could be true about a 22-year-old, 23-year-old could be predatory.
So just for context, I mean, I was interested in somebody before who was a little bit older than 35, 36.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt very predatory.
Because of the individual involved.
Because of the individual.
But you said you were interested in him.
Well, both vice versa, right? But I'm saying the dynamic itself kind of felt very predatory, right? Like
Why?
like, you know, like we just didn't have anything in common. Like going out, the looks.
What do you mean the looks?
You know, because
But you said you were interested in him.
we were both interested in each other, but I'm saying like that relationship compared to like this one now feels very different. Like I don't really even notice the age gap, but I do prefer older men. Like I don't think I could date somebody my age.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so why was that specific one predatory?
We didn't have anything in common.
So if you don't have something in like, so let's say a 23
why
and
would
a
you be
20,
interested in him?
no,
like, but let's say
after a
let's say a
while.
23 and a 22-year-old have nothing in common.
That was just one of the things.
Is it predatory to not have anything in common with somebody?
No. That was just one
Okay.
of the things. He like aged poorly, so like.
But you said you were interested in him.
I was interested
How is him
in him
aging
at one
poorly
point.
mean he's predatory?
No.
What?
I said it felt weird. Like maybe feeling weird is a better way to describe it. But the dynamic just did not flow very well.
But you said it was predatory.
And it felt inappropriate.
Yeah, but that's the part, the inappropriate, predatory, whatever that is, right?
Right, because I think when I first started engaging with this person, I kind of had a blinders on to the actual age gap itself, because everything was just going so great and so quickly.
So you ignored the age in lieu of what?
And in lieu of
Stuff and shit? Stuff and things?
no, just it was very.
Was it for stuff and things?
It was very exciting.
Was it for stuff and things? Did you ignore the age gap for stuff and things?
I would say more experiences. It was very exciting.
But experiences like stuff and
Like,
things?
I'll just give an example. I hope he's not watching this. I really do. So like, when was this? Last February, I was intending to go to New York for spring break with my friends, and I was just chatting to him about it. And he was like, no, don't go by yourself. Like, I'll arrange the whole trip, and arrange like a week stay at a beautiful
Here comes the things. Let's hear about the things.
It was just like an unforgettable experience, but a lot of attention to detail. Like, it was like, wow,
So for the material gains, you ignored the age. Hang on. For the material gains, you ignored the age, right?
But he was also a really, really funny guy, dressed very well too. It's just after a while, I was just like, this is just not going to work. I'm not very attracted to you at all.
So for the
It
material
felt weird.
gains,
I never told him to do this. He did this for me,
right? No, I get it, but I'm just saying, like, well, I'm not attracted to you, right? This isn't really going anywhere. But thanks for the shit, right? Like, I mean, come on, right? Is that basically what happened?
I mean, after a while, yes, it did fizz out.
All
Yes, correct. But compared to this one is like fresh and like sexy,
Okay. Getting everybody else's thoughts on age gap relationships.
General answer, no. Again, it depends on the individuals involved.
Well, of course, but
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the
okay,
biggest
all
answer I
right.
can give.
I mean, again, keeping it genuine. There are times, like if I saw a 50-year-old man dating an 18-year-old girl, admittedly, I'd get the ick.
Wait, hold,
But-
wait. Sorry, an older man dating a what?
Like an 18-year-old girl.
Oh, 18-year-old girl. Okay. I
That
misheard.
being
Okay.
said, actually, listening to you on this podcast, I've learned I need to set aside my feelings and think about, okay, what is the morality of the situation?
Right.
So if I look at that, no problemo, they're
No
both
problem.
adults.
Right. So this is the thing, right? All the objections are always just,
I don't like this.
why?
I don't know.
And it's just like, well, then I don't give a shit, right? It's just, that's just me.
I think the only valid maybe like argument you could make there is like your cognitive function isn't quite set in until you're about 25.
No, that's not even true for everybody.
I heard that was fake news.
It is fake news. In fact, the series of sociological studies, which you would be referencing to bring up the cognitive
think those are
disparity
neuroscience.
between, but no, these are sociological studies. Neuroscience, especially, will be this inside of the neuroscientific field, especially. What you're talking about is one specific part of the brain which isn't fully developed in a human adult female until they're 26
What did they say?
years
The
old.
prefrontal cortex? Is that it?
That's
Yeah.
one part, but the thing is like, but how much? Does it?
But is it-
Does
it's
it
not a-
diminish your cognitive ability by 1%?
I mean, it rings true for me. I do feel like once I got to about 25, like
Yeah, but you had
just
a whole ton of
had
experience.
a lot more ability to make better decisions.
But the problem with this is, let's assume for a second that every year you got older, it increased your cognitive ability or whatever by 1% or 2% or something like this. Some, kind of smallish type percentage. Now let's assume that that never occurred. It just stopped at 2% less than what it is now, or 1% less than it is now, and you had the same exact 10 years of experience. You would still be way fucking smarter than you would be when you were 16 or 18 or 19 or 20. You would still be. So the question becomes, is it experience, or is it the fact that your brain's not completely 100% developed until you're 26 years old? That just seems absurd to me. It's like
Well,
you weren't that much smarter at 26 than you were at 24 or even at 22.
Obviously, it's progressive. You know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But is it progressive due to experience or because your brain isn't completely developed till you're 26? That's the question.
I mean, I think that is what the studies show, is that your prefrontal cortex kind of completely, it's sort
That's
of
not even
solidified.
true for
Can we
everybody.
Google the whole like 25
Well, no, you can't because
prefrontal cortex
there's
thing?
multiple data samples on this, and no, it's not showing that you somehow get like when you turn 26, the day you turn 26, you're like, oh, eureka, my brain's done developing. Now I can go get that man that I want. Doesn't that just seem absurd on its face?
No, I don't think
Doesn't
it's
work
like a happens in one night.
Right. Well, it doesn't
Obviously,
happen.
we have to-
It happens. It's a gradual transition. But if you're 23 versus 26, how much more intelligent are you because of your brain development? That's the question. I think it's a question of
18
experience.
versus 26. I think everybody
But
would
that's a
agree.
question of experience, not necessarily
Not-
a question of
fair
brain
enough.
function. So I'm saying that
Maybe both.
the distinction between your brain at 18 and 26, you'd have to demonstrate that it's so significant that if you were to leave it the same and give the same amount of experience between those two ages, there'd be some massive difference. That's what those studies failed to show. That's my whole problem with it.
I mean, I haven't actually looked at studies. I don't know if you have, but
I have. This comes up quite often, and that's my whole problem with it. It's like, well, let's see what would happen if we were able to demonstrate, well, we stopped it from 20 to 26, and they have the exact same experiences. How much of a different person would they be? That's a much larger question. So I'm not willing to just say, well, because the brain's not fully developed, the day they turn 26, well, they can go get what they
yeah. But I think you at least you would agree that an 18-year-old probably isn't as good at making judgments as a 25, 26-year-old.
Well, then should they be able to vote against a 26-year-old and cancel out their very well-informed vote?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't thought
You don't
about
know? Well, if they should, if you're saying that, well, the experience of an 18-year-old woman is such that she could never make the same type of judgment call that a 50-year-old man can, fair enough, then why should she be able to cancel out his vote?
I mean, I've never stated that I believe that she
That's
should.
why I asked, should she?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Well, you should think about it because this is the same type of argument. It's like, at what point are they an adult? And if they're an adult, are they an adult or are they not? And if they're not, when are they? And if they're not, what responsibilities should they have or shouldn't they have? Because I'm not willing to be like, well, Johnny, you can go to war, but you can't go after a 50-year-old woman. It's like, well, no, I'm not so sure I'm willing to make that call. Or, hey, Tim, yeah, sure, you got drafted, but you can't smoke till you're 21 because, well, society's just said it gives them the ick, right? It gives them the ick that you smoke, Timmy. Now, go over and fight the enemies of the United States. That just seems absurd to me. You know what I mean? So when I look at it, I'm like...
I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah, if this is an experience-based thing, right, well, 18-year-old woman could be drafted. If an 18-year-old woman was drafted, then is she cognitive enough and smart enough to go out with a 50-year-old man?
I don't think women should be drafted at all.
Yeah,
I
but
think
if
women should be drafted.
But if they were, but let's just say that they were. That
They
women,
should be drafted.
Women like men were drafted.
saying.
It's like there's a war, right? We need you in the field. You're drafted, just like 18-year-old Johnny over there. Okay.
I mean,
can she go for a 50-year-old man then? Is she smart enough then to make those decisions?
I think legally she should be able to. I agree with the legal age of 18.
What's the
we
moral?
have to set some age.
So what's the moral argument?
Well, the moral argument is like everything is nuanced. So I mean, you have to look at every unique
The
situation.
moral
but
argument is that everything is nuanced.
I'm saying things have nuance. So
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
know things have nuance, but there's
if we're just talking like, okay, here's stock 18-year-old girl and stock 50-year-old man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's a reason why people may get uncomfortable when they hear that, and I think it's valid. It probably comes out of a real.
Do you think that your grandparents were uncomfortable with that? Your great-grandparents were uncomfortable with that?
I
Because the
haven't
answer
asked them,
is
but
not really. It was not a huge social issue of the time.
I think it has been actually.
No, it hasn't been. It was never a big social issue that there was these
we didn't
large
just
age
go.
gaps.
I know back like probably like 2,000 years ago, it wasn't.
Well, let me give you a different example. Let's say World War II, by the end of World War II, France's male population had been decimated, mostly the young men, because they just had 2 world wars. The female population wasn't decimated. Age gaps were pretty wide, right? By necessity, how are you going to procreate? right? There's no other men except these. Is it immoral then?
I'm not saying it. I've never made the blatant statement that it's immoral, though.
Right. So I mean, is it situationally immoral, or is it just really that it gives you the ick?
I think it's situationally immoral. Like, to try, it's a slightly different situation, but I'll try and make an example. You know, if there's a kid, like, I have to be responsible with someone who's a minor in other dimensions. Do you know what I'm saying?
No. But I want to be charitable to what you're saying, so.
I'm trying to think of a good example, but like.
A minor in other dimension. Do you mean like their cognitive function is, if they're 18, is like that of a 15-year-old?
You have to look out for people younger than you, and
Yeah.
there's definitely a chance to take advantage of their innocence. So, I think that's generally what we're getting at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but there doesn't even need to be an age gap for that. You just take advantage of them anyway. At the same age, you can take advantage of them.
I mean, there's obviously a serious problem with taking advantage of people who are much younger than you because their lack of experience.
But there would be a serious problem for anybody to take advantage of anybody for any reason, right?
What do you mean?
So, like, let's say a 50-year-old guy is taking advantage of the naivete of a 19-year-old girl in order to, I don't know, get her to do whatever the hell it is that he wants, versus a 21-year-old guy. I don't see why it's immoral. More immoral just because the guy's 50 versus 21. I don't see what the difference is.
I would think he would know better than the 21-year-old,
He
but
might,
I would say they're both
but I'm
wrong.
just saying it seems like it's just equally bad to me. Doesn't seem like this
No,
was more
really?
bad to that.
Because like a 20-year-old doesn't have as much experience as a 50-year-old. I think they would know better.
Yeah, I
mean,
get
that's
it.
just my general sense.
Yeah, I get it. I understand what you're saying, but you could have a 25-year-old and a 24-year-old girl, and he is vastly more intelligent and vastly more experienced than she is.
Usually not, though.
But you could, right? And there's no ick there. The only ick would be in the distinction for age, and it's only due to like some kind of preference. But if we were to look at the immoral action of 50-year-old man takes advantage of a 19-year-old girl, it's like, oh, yeah, that's bad. But if 21-year-old takes advantage of 18-year-old girl, that's still just as bad.
And also, as a 50-year-old man, wouldn't you want somebody who has a little more experience?
I don't know what their preferences are, but
I mean,
the question to me is
people
not
kinda-
even, the question to me is not, why do you prefer this thing X, but whether or not is this thing even a problem? So is it actually even a problem that a 50-year-old might?
You usually see people together who are roughly the same age. I think that's because they grew up in the same era. As peers, you tend to be able to connect on a lot more. So I think maybe that's why, okay, maybe something's off there. Maybe that's a red
Unless
flag.
this social circle becomes reduced due to external factors, like for instance, war. If 40 or 50% of your male population, young male population, totally decimated, now you have these extreme age gaps. Now it's necessary. So in that case, is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Well, then if that's okay, you're really just saying there's nothing really immoral here.
I never said it was never
If there's
okay.
nothing immoral, then why do we care? That's my
Because it's
question.
a red flag. It's definitely a red flag.
Okay,
outside of
well,
that
now that's
situation.
fair, right? You could say it's a red flag or something that you would look out for. That's fair enough. But I'm just saying I don't see a problem with it per se.
Not necessarily, which I've said.
Yeah.
So
Your thoughts?
I think as long as both parties are consenting adults, and it's fine.
There you have it. There you have it. Going back to some of you who said that you find it predatory or icky, do you care to elaborate on your answers? How is it predatory?
So, well, I'd like to not exactly change my answer, but I'll add more. I think it's different if two people meet, they don't know how old they are, they happen to have a connection, and then, you know, like it happens to be a pretty large age gap. But if like an older man and an older woman is purposely going on dating apps and making their age range very young, like purposely looking for these younger women, that's when it feels pretty predatory, because you're actively seeking someone way younger than you, or if you have some type of age cutoff.
Wait, an age cutoff?
Yeah, like if you're like, oh, I don't want
So
to be
you
with a
wouldn't?
woman.
Would you date a 70-year-old man?
No.
What are you doing with this age cutoff?
No, I'm
What
saying.
if you didn't know his age? It would make it okay then, right? You only thought he was 45.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, let's say you meet someone, and they happen to be, I don't know, whatever age cutoff, like
A lot of men have like 30
20
cutoffs.
or yeah, like 30. They're older than 30, and you're like, no, even though they're closer to your own age, that means you want them to be significantly younger than you.
So what if a man, he's in his 40s, He wants to start a family. Okay, he hasn't been able to for whatever reason. Okay, maybe he's been like long term in the military. Maybe he has other things going on. Right, he has not been able to, but he's accrued a ton of resources. So he starts researching, goes online. He's like, how can I have a nice big family? What are the things I should be looking for? Do you think fertile woman would be like one of those big criteria for that?
Well,
If you wanted to have
there
a
are
family,
other options.
fertility in women would be a big one, right?
What are the other options?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, even though the percentage of women that are still fertile is less as they get older, there
So-
still are some. Or if
So-
you really
but
want
you
So if
children,
you wanted to
that-
have 9 kids, you probably wouldn't want to marry a 30-year-old, right?
but if you want children that badly, you could adopt. Adoption's
Yeah,
always an
but you could
option.
also
What if you
marry a
don't?
25-year-old.
Well, there are also women who freeze their eggs.
Yeah, I know, but what if you, again, you could just marry a fertile 25-year-old too. You could be a 40-year-old man and go, well, she's 25, so I get the maximum amount of fertility. I want to have 7, 8 kids.
But then why weren't you trying to start that family and
Maybe
have
you're
those kids
just because you
earlier
were
on?
trying to accrue resources so you could. And then if the 25-year-old says, yeah, you have the resources, I really dig you, I think you're great, I want to give you 9 kids, I could not imagine anybody at this table could ever give me a single problem with that from a moral standpoint ever. I don't think it would even be possible.
Wait, I have a question. So,
Well, let's let her respond
ahead.
before. Do you have a response?
Well, I want to hear what Hallie's going to say.
No. So Andrew said he doesn't think anybody at this table would be able to raise an objection.
I don't
over
think
the
anybody
scenario.
in this country could raise an objection to this from a moral standpoint that would be in any way coherent, but I would love to hear it.
If I can add on to your question, without raising an actual argument or objection, do you find the scenario that he painted predatory or icky? 40-year-old, 25-year-old.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay,
A 40-year-old with a 25-year-old?
correct. Her prefrontal cortex is fully developed at this point. Bear in mind.
Close enough, anyway.
No.
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 Who cares? They're both happy.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Go ahead. What's your
So,
question?
I was just asking for a friend. Do you think that from a woman's perspective, having kids at 25 with someone who is 40 is disadvantageous?
I can't figure out how it would be disadvantageous
To the
from
woman?
a logical standpoint. It could be from some kind of preferential standpoint.
How old is
like-
Henry Cavill?
His
Like they
sperm
could
might
say,
have declined.
they could say, for instance,
40. Wait, can I jump in here really quick? You know who Henry Cavill is? Nick, could you Google Henry
Oh,
Cavill?
he said Superman.
Superman.
Superman, yeah, thanks.
The Witcher, The Tudors. If anybody, I don't know if anybody knows
yeah, that
The
guy's
Tudors.
a great actor.
Oh, I know him, yeah.
Very handsome man, 40 years old.
Didn't he play Superman too?
Yeah, he's Superman.
Yeah.
So what was your question? The 40-year-old and the 25-year-old?
I was asking, do you think it's disadvantageous for a 25-year-old woman to have babies?
Let me
and a
ask, do you think it would be
40-year-old?
disadvantageous for a 25-year-old woman to have children with Henry Cavill?
No.
Well,
Do you think a lot of 25-year-old women would jump at the chance to be with Henry Cavill?
Hang on, forget that for a second.
Okay.
Let me ask this easier. Let's say, for somehow, I don't know how, okay, but they froze sperm from a guy from 1915 who died. Okay, 1915. They had the frozen sperm, and a woman wanted to become a mother, right? And she looked through, and she's like, "Oh, I really want this guy from 1915. I want to have his babies, right?" And so she artificially inseminated herself, and she had the baby. Okay. Well, didn't she actually have a child then with a dude who's like over 100 years old?
No.
No?
Well,
Wait,
yeah.
I'm a little confused by this one myself.
Didn't she?
If you freeze the sperm,
Uh-huh.
right, they're frozen.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's this 100-year-old living
It's
man.
his
that's
18-year-old sperm or something. I guess.
Well, what if it's his 50-year-old sperm?
I don't know. That seems like
Or what if they froze it when he's 90?
But it's just sperm. It's not like you're having
Like,
intercourse.
yeah, you don't have a
with that
relationship
man.
with that person. And like what you were saying
So
earlier.
then if that's true, then is that saying that you can be in a relationship with an 80-year-old man, and as long as you don't have a intercourse with him, and you just like, I don't know, he jerks off in a cup and you inseminate yourself, then that relationship then is fine? Or
No.
no? This is what I mean. It's like,
I think that
like she says there's all kinds of nuance, and I'm like, let's see if we can find the craziest nuance we can.
An 80-year-old jacking off in a cup is pretty crazy.
It's pretty nuanced.
Yeah.
Pretty nuanced.
Yeah, but can I ask you something? So you were grilling Hallie a little bit when she was talking about wanting these like material things from a man, blah, blah, whatever. And then she brought up children and you were like, that's a material thing as well. And now you're
The
saying...
material conditions for children, yeah.
Yeah, and now you're saying, so you're like, oh, it's wrong. I don't know if this is what you meant, but this is how it sounded like, that it's not good to just seek someone for these material things. But then in your scenario, when you're talking about this 4-year-old man actively seeking someone younger just for the material thing being the children that you had stated before.
What happened is she asked, would it be disadvantageous for a 25-year-old woman, right, to get married to a 40-year-old man and have his babies?
Yeah.
I can't think of how that would be disadvantageous.
But I'm talking about what we were talking about like a couple hours ago.
Yeah,
like
but you're
towards the beginning
conflating
of the
two different
podcast.
things. So the question which was asked is, how would this be disadvantageous? I don't see how it could be disadvantageous.
I mean, I don't think it's disadvantageous per se, but I still think that, like, if the only reason you're trying to, like, build a relationship with someone younger than you is to have children with them, then that's, like, why would you do that?
To
Why are you
perpetuate,
in a
to
relationship? Yeah, but what about the
perpetuate
other
the human
values?
species
Like
so
other
people
core
like you can be
values?
alive?
No, but the other core values that you were talking about earlier, like integrity and loyalty and all of that, like,
You can have all of those things together.
you can, but what if you can't find that and you only find like that? That's
women
pretty
are
hard to
inferior
find.
virtuously.
Okay, so you mean what happens if you can't find a virtuous woman at the age of 25?
Like, yeah. So are you just gonna settle for someone who you don't have that same connection with, but they're 25? So
Yeah,
they can provide
probably
you
not,
children?
no.
Or would you rather be with someone who's older?
Yeah,
who you share more
so
values
now
with, but they can't
if
give
you want to
children?
make the shift from whether or not it's disadvantageous, and you're talking specifically about the core of relationship dynamic for preference, and you're like, is the preference for this guy to only have 9 kids? If that's the case, then I guess he could compromise on his values. But if the preference is not that, if the preference is he wants to have 9 kids and a virtuous woman, then yeah, he might have to compromise on his standards. I don't see how he wouldn't be. You know, I mean, as far as looks and this type of thing. Or am I misinterpreting your question? Or am I getting something wrong here?
Well, just because you were saying that, like, a 40-year-old man who really wants a family, like, really, really badly, they're going to only look at younger women because they have a higher chance of being fertile and being able to give you those children.
No, I'm not saying they only would, but I would understand why they would.
Can I
Okay.
play devil's advocate for my original
I
point
wish
but
you
on
would,
this
yeah.
topic? So if I am a hot 25-year-old woman, okay, and this 40-year-old man wants me to have his kids, don't you think that he should be providing for us for me to even consider having his kids, or no?
I think that he should be in a position in which he can provide for the children in his family. yeah.
Especially at almost 15 years older.
Does that mean taking you to the Bahamas and giving you $10,000 or?
I never said give $10,000.
Is that $10,000 a month for you to go zip lining and hang gliding? That's providing for you and the kids? Or?
No, it's not. No, it's not. Y'all taking my words out of my mouth. What I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah, I'm
saying,
joking,
what
I'm
I'm
joking,
just
but go
saying
ahead.
is, like, at that dinosaur age, you should
Wow.
you should be doing more than if I'm gonna go have kids with somebody my age. That's just my take.
That you should be doing more?
Yeah. Like
Do you think that a man who is in his 40s, who by your own admission is going to have more resources than a man at 25, he'd have don't you think he'd be better to provide for your children?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, then he is doing more.
No, I'm just asking.
He's just not doing more for you. He's doing more for the offspring, just not for you.
So by default,
You
then,
don't get the pearls, you know. The kids get new clothes. That's how it goes. You know, you don't get the pearls, you don't get the big diamond. The kids get the better school, the kids get the better education, kids get the better life.
That sounds like a sad life.
I will just.
It sounds like a sad life. To make the preferences the
Why-
children over yourself.
No, why can't we all have a beautiful life?
That's beautiful.
What? You could.
Right.
You can't. You know what? You can have it all.
Right.
You can have 5 kids and $10,000 Bahama vacations and just kind of everything you want.
It doesn't cost $10,000.
Princess treatment, okay? Princess treatment. A couple questions
Just
here.
dudes with bricks with gold in their pockets, just waiting. They can't wait to have nine kids.
Oh, a couple things here. Okay, guys, go to twitch.tv. So, I mean, using your guys' logic when it comes to the whole predatory thing, women who are attracted to tall men. So, okay, you comparing men wanting to date younger, keyword, adult women, keyword, adult women, I think is as crazy as me saying women who want to date taller men are incestophiles.
Are what?
Here's why. You have some weird incestuous fetishization of your fathers because you want to look up to a tall man and say, take care of me, tall man. Protect me, tall man. You are incestuous and predatory for seeking out tall men to satisfy your perverse incestuous fantasies.
What if
Joke's
I
on
don't
you
know.
because I'm short.
Huh?
I'm short. I'm taller than my daddy. So what?
If your dad is short,
Well,
no, but it's almost
dad
like
is shorter than the daughter.
But it's almost like this, like, okay, you got me. Andrew. You
Yeah,
probably got
I'm curious. But I mean, I did like the diatribe. I thought the diatribe
It was good. It was good, right?
Yeah.
No, but it's like what they really want to say is men are P words for being attracted to adult women who are young. That's what they really want to say.
I've
They
heard
want to say that men are P words.
Don't put words in our mouth.
Yeah.
Well, predatory, I mean, you're one step away from basically calling men who are attracted to 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old women
It's Schrodinger's.
P-words.
It's Schrodinger's feminist.
It's-
What's referred to as Schrodinger's feminist, which is
I'm a boss bitch, awesome, kick-ass, 18-year-old. I'm gonna take on the world. I can vote. I can do all this shit.
But then everything except, of course, date an older man, right? I don't have, because that's predatory, and they have way too much more experience. And just, poor me, they can just take advantage of me.
Honestly, the woman is at a huge disadvantage in age gap relationships. I'm
Yeah,
going to
well,
be
is
honest.
she?
Yes.
Should
Is she,
18-year-old
though?
women be CEOs?
A huge disadvantage.
Yeah, should 18-year-old women be CEOs?
I don't think maybe
They
should.
can be.
They can be, but there's a lot of life experience
Why shouldn't
needed.
they be?
Anyways,
Why no? Why shouldn't they be CEOs?
there's nothing wrong with an 18-year-old woman being a CEO.
Right, there's nothing wrong with
It depends
an
on how
18
big the company is.
There's nothing wrong with an 18-year-old woman being a CEO. She's an ass-kicking boss chick at 18, right? She can
If
do
she
all
has
that.
the
Can an 18-year-old
experience.
CEO date a 50-year-old dude? Is that okay?
That's not, no, honestly, it's not okay. Like, you don't understand.
No.
Like, the man has, like,
She can be in
years-
charge of a whole corporation.
no, but he has years of
She
experience.
could fire
in
a
dating.
50-year-old but can't date him?
You don't know his dating history. You don't know what he does to women. Like he just had so much life experience to run game on women. You're putting yourself at risk.
I got a question. Let's say there's a 35-year-old man who's a virgin and he doesn't have a lot of experience, and there's a 19-year-old woman who's a stripper who's had sex with 20 men. She's dated a bunch of men, had sex with 20 men. Who has the greater relationship experience in that situationship? I would argue
The woman.
that the 19-year-old woman is going to run circles around that 35-year-old guy.
Yeah.
So is she a predator?
Is that predatory?
No.
What?
I'm talking.
Hang on. That's literally the same thing, just in reverse. What would make her not the predator?
When I say predatory for the age gap thing, because like I said, I prefer older men. I'm talking about guys that are like near like geriatric, like they have arthritis and like a young woman. Like that's just weird. Like,
But
Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense.
It
When you-
does.
Also, it
when
does-
you say what makes that person a predator because they have arthritis.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, like I'm talking about a man who has like kids the same age as the girl that he's dating.
Yeah, what would make that predatory?
So basically you're saying you're comfortable.
I didn't say anything.
No,
I asked you what makes it
It
predatory.
makes it predatory because inherently that guy is a danger because he would sleep with girls that are the same age as his daughter.
Why would that make him a danger?
Okay, now you just asking a silly question.
That's not a silly question. You say this is predatory. I say, okay, great. What makes it predatory? If they have arthritis. Okay, wait, what? No, okay, that's not what I meant. I meant that it's predatory to date a woman who could be the same age as your daughter. Okay, why is that predatory? I don't know. They're not silly questions. Like, why? What makes them a predator?
so
Are
just
you
for-
looking at your daughter that way?
Wait.
No, what makes it predatory?
So it makes it predatory because now if you out here sleeping with, say if your daughter's 19,
It's like that
19
genius level, by the way.
19-year-old girls, and your daughter wants to have a sleepover with the girls at your house, at her the dad's house.
You mean
the girls can't come because you're a predator. You're
So-
looking at young women.
So wait, let me get this right. If your adult daughter were to bring other adult women over to your house,
19-year-olds?
you mean adults?
That ain't no real adult.
It's not a real adult.
Wait, so-
now,
wait.
when you were 19, didn't you date older men?
No, I just really started when I was 21.
Oh, the
Oh,
difference
2
between
years.
19 and 21 is
years.
night and day.
I mean,
So-
that is from your teenage years to your adult years is like the most rapid progression of maturity,
but
other
but you're an
than a
adult.
newborn.
19 years
toddler.
old is the end of being a teenager, one. And two, if that's the case, then why are we considering teenagers at the late years to be adults?
I just think that a guy should not be dating a woman that is or a young woman that's the
I
same
know.
age as his
We
daughter.
know that
That's wrong.
we know you think that that's bad. We know you think that that's wrong. We want to know why you think it's predatory. And so far, what we've gotten is nothing.
Okay.
No, just tell us why it's predatory.
I literally explained, like, if you can be comfortable with sleeping with a young woman that's the same age as your daughter, there's an issue with you mentally.
What makes you a predator?
That is a. Someone take the mic. I don't know. I can't.
Can anybody answer what would make you a predator? Just like
just don't like
just
it.
just making the statement, just making the assertion, it doesn't tell us anything.
And also, you're 22 and you're dating a 36-year-old.
Yeah, but like.
But if he was 38, he'd be a predator.
No,
For
no,
that 2
no,
years.
no. I'm talking about like a 50-year-old man and like a 19-year-old.
What about? But of course, in your situation, it's fine. You got this covered, right? You got this covered. It's just other women.
No,
What about you? Could you date a 50-year-old?
You know what? I don't want to air my business out here, but like, no.
Wait, you have dated a 50-year-old?
No. People have been interested in me that are that age, but like, it's just
Okay.
Would you take a trip to the Bahamas from them?
no,
No.
no.
Okay.